Okay, so the old lawnmower, 1983 John Deere, is washed up and ready to go. He said he'll try to pick it up tomorrow. And I tell you, this was a real experience trying to piece this thing back together. I washed it the best I could. I don't know, you probably can't tell the difference, but it looks a little better. There was a ton of greasy oil on it. So I think, could be wrong, one of the main culprits of the oil leak was a leaky oil filter. It was on just barely even, I mean, it wasn't even hand tight, so maybe that's what it is. So anyway, like I said, he'll pick this up tomorrow. We changed the inner tubes, we changed carburetor, oil, spark plugs. Of course, there's a video on some of that. I didn't show a video on the carburetor. I just didn't feel like I should be making a video of me trying to figure out how to replace the carburetor on it. If I ever have to do something like this again, then of course I will, because I know how to do it. But I had to wash it and use quite a bit of water, so it had to fill the water. So I need to go down and make sure I shut off the inverter. Then tomorrow I'm going to work on this. This needs a lot of work on the mower deck itself. So then it's going to start raining, and I don't know what to do with the grass. I could cut it, but it just really doesn't need it yet. Bringing in some good money, these big jobs like this. Finally get a chance to burn some trash. It has rained so much you just can't burn it. So the ticks are just, oh my goodness, the ticks are just terrible. Yesterday I had to, I had to get some tires off the rims, and I used the truck. I jacked up the truck. It was, I explained that in yesterday's video. And I was just sitting next to the truck, which is mostly gravel. Oh, I bet I had a dozen ticks on me last night. A couple of them right around the socks. Of course, you're supposed to wear bug spray and all that, but so I'm sitting here looking at my reflection on my camera, the screen that I can see myself in, and I'm just out like that. So earlier I accidentally hit a button. I didn't know what button I hit that made it look like it zoomed in, and I thought I fixed it, but apparently I didn't. So now I figured that out. Then after I figured that out, okay, so the inverter, I guess I did come down here and shut it off because it's off. And then I must have hit another button, because every time the camera, I do something to the camera, like hit record or something, it beeps. Well, that didn't beep, and so I must have hit another button, so I had to sit there and figure out how to fix all that. So I haven't used the generator in 2 days. We have enough battery now to get us through the day and night, and some stays out longer now, so. But it's going to rain again for another week. I'm not really sure how to handle all that. Just constant rain. Don't get me wrong, it really boosts business when it stops raining, but during the time it's raining, I don't get any business. So it just never makes any sense. So I think I told you the other day, I'm not sure, but I'm going to repeat myself if I did, that we've decided to change our routine with the truck. I learned after doing all this work on the truck that I'm not getting the truck hot enough, and that might be one of the reasons why I got the code, because over time the engine has wore out because I'm not treating it correctly. I thought I was. So anytime we go to Dollar General, it's a short trip, we go ahead and drive on by Dollar General or take a different route, or that way the thermostat, the temperature that you see in the car, gets up to temperature. I've done this my entire adult life, or at least most of my entire adult life. So, but that's not correct, because the oil temperature is not up to temperature. And it seems to me, if oil temperature is so critical, they would go ahead and put a measurement in there for oil temperature. but you're supposed to run it from 15 to 20 minutes. Well, the water temperature, because that's what that thermometer in your car is measuring, water temperature, warms up within 3 or 4 minutes. In the summer. In the winter, it takes a little bit longer. So the reason this is important is because the fuel kind of goes down in the oil and water gets into the oil. So these short trips, it never gets up to temperature to burn all that off. It should boil off, both the fuel. And so the other issue is, I've always, since these new oil monitoring systems have come out, I've always relied on the oil monitoring system. Chevy is supposed to have the best oil monitoring system available. It's been tested over and over again. They send the oil off to test labs, and it's always conservative in its test reviews. It monitors how long you run the engine and all that stuff. It doesn't actually measure the oil itself, but it takes all these measurements and determines the oil viscosity based on all these other measurements. And it's supposed to be really accurate. But apparently it's not, because I'm pretty convinced that the oil viscosity, first of all, I don't like that 5W20. I'm not making a recommendation to anybody, but I will only, if I ever buy another car, which I probably won't, I will only use the recommended oil or the required oil during the warranty phase of the vehicle. Once the warranty expires, this one, the 5 years, 100,000 mile, 5 years, the 5 years ran out before we got to 100,000. We're not even at 100,000 yet, and it's 10 years old. So I will now shift over to a thicker viscosity as soon as I do it. Oh, you can't do that, or run your engine. Well, that's not entirely true. I mean, it's not true. Well, we actually know this isn't true, because Chevy has just changed their oil viscosity for their V8 engine. I think it's a 6.2 liter. They were having a bunch of recalls, and they determined that the oil viscosity that they were using, which was like 0W20, was no good. So they went all the way up to 0W40. So I'm only going to go, with this truck, I've only went up to 5W30. So the 5 is the viscosity of the engine oil when it's cold, and the last number, 30, 20, 30, 40, is the viscosity of the oil when it's warm, when the engine has warmed it up. So I went to 530, and it seems like all my problems have just went away with the replacement of the oil sensor and everything. So I'm going to change that. Now, if I ever buy another car, I will use 5W30 as soon as the warranty expires, or whatever the next viscosity level is. The thing is if this wears out again, I still can go up to 5W40, I think. But I wouldn't go straight up to 5W40. It holds 6 quarts of oil, so what I would do is buy 3 quarts of 5W30 and 5 quarts of 5W40. That way it will be like a 5W35. But the reason putting a higher viscosity in there, I just learned this a couple days ago, is when you think about the 5, when the engine is cold, the oil is very thick. If you live in Alaska, the oil is even going to be thicker than if you live in Texas. So if you use the same oil viscosity, let's say the manufacturer says you need to use 5W, that's 5 winter, that's not weight, it's winter. And so you go to Alaska and you're using 5W. It's thicker in Alaska in the wintertime than it is in Texas in the wintertime. Same time of year, same car, same oil, everything's the same, but it's thicker. So if the car can handle the oil viscosity when the oil is cold, then it would be able to handle a thicker oil, even though it's not as thick as when it's cold, when it's hot. Granted, some of your variable valve timing stuff may not work, and that's the whole reason. Well, it's not even the whole reason they're using the low viscosity oils. The reason they're doing this for fuel economy. What I'm noticing though is I'm getting better fuel economy now using 5W30 instead of 5W20. Probably because the engine's old and maybe something blowing by, I don't know. But I'm getting about a mile to 2 miles per gallon more than I was before I changed it. So we're in a lot better shape with the truck. So anyway, back to what I was saying, we're going to change our routine. So we used to go to Dollar General, which is, you know, like just a little ways. You know what's funny? I said how far it was one time from us, and somebody actually figured out where we live based on me saying how far Dollar General was. That's just insane to me. As many Dollar Generals there are in the world, they figured out that I lived, and then they came by. I was just blown away. They came by. Oh yeah, we figured out where you live. The things people do. I mean, I try to. The thing is when people come to show up. They know quite well. I don't want anybody here. I don't want you coming here. And they come by like they've never heard me say that. So yes, you have heard me say it. I say it too much for you not to have heard me say, don't come here. And then they'll say, because the reason they know, because they have taken the time to figure out where I live. So anyway, we're not going to go to Dollar General near as much as we used to, or hardly at all. Like I said, we go about every other day, every third day or so to Dollar General. We think it would be better for the truck to go longer distances, fewer times. So what we'll do is we'll go to Walmart, which is about 20 miles away. Maybe 25 miles, I forget. 22, I think it's 22 miles. And we'll go to Walmart once a week. And the reason we go to Dollar General is to pick up snacks, cottage cheese specifically. And Carolyn gets some yogurt sometimes. So instead of going over to Dollar General and not getting the truck hot enough, of course, you know, we could drive further. We could drive out 6 miles, come back to Dollar General, and then get our food. But when you're doing that, 2 times a week, you're adding on 12 more miles. Whereas if we just went down to Walmart once a week, so we're going to get a bigger cooler, or another cooler, or a second cooler, so we can go to Walmart once a week. And that won't add on any other extra mileage, but it will warm up the truck without wasting mileage. Like I said, we were passing up Dollar General before, so we were already wasting mileage, especially in the winter, by a mile or two every time we went. We're trying to preserve the truck. The truck is very important to us. We really want to keep it for a long time. Hopefully, for the rest of my life. It may be impossible, but we just don't drive it that much. Of course, in the summertime, when I'm picking up lawnmowers, we drive it a little bit more, but not extensively. I mean, I've been trying to test drive it here recently, and within the last maybe 2 weeks, I've drove it 125 miles. Not a lot, and that's with all the test driving. And we've picked up 3 mowers, so we just don't put on a lot of mileage. So I think I'm going to jump off of here so I can get ready to go to Walmart. So if you'll click this up next box, it'll take you to a video on my other channel. So I hope I can inspire you to figure out the best methods so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.